Dito sa Pilipinas, may kasabihan tayo na walang kandidatong natatalo, puro nadadaya lang. Pero sa pagkakataong ito, hindi lamang nahuli ang magnanakaw sa akto, nagsorry pa. Kung malaki ang tinaya, mas malaki ang kailangang ikubra. Pagala-gala pa rin si Garci, parang wala lang nangyari. With the permission,
Senator Grace Post recognized.
With the permission of the body and the leadership of the Senate, I rise on a matter of personal and collective privilege.
Yes, please proceed, Your Honor.
Mr. President, dear colleagues, 20 years ago this month, a phone call changed the course of our country's history. To jog our collective memories, recorded phone calls between a presidential candidate who was then trailing behind the votes and then election commissioner Hello Garci resulted in the biggest electoral crisis this country has ever seen. To be specific, there were around 15 calls, but it was one phone call that echoes in our history forever as Hello Garci. The ignominy still rings today, and its brazenness echoes in eternity. In Hello Garci, a leader who had placed her hand on the Bible to swear before God and people that she will obey the laws of land, was clearly heard shopping for votes to salvage an electoral debacle. Dito sa Pilipinas, may kasabihan tayo na walang kandidatong natatalo, puro nadadaya lang. Pero sa pagkakataong ito, hindi lamang nahuli ang magnanakaw sa akto, nagsorry pa. The phone call recorded a woman's voice panic buying for votes. In fact, it recorded a presidential nominee pressing election commissioner Garciliano, who was on the other end of the line, to produce 1 million votes. The call echoed a haggling for more votes. To quote, the transcript would show, yung dagdag, yung dagdag. It was not a polite conversation one would expect between a sitting president and a constitutional officer. To 85 million eavesdropping Filipinos, it confirmed an open secret about our elections, that votes can be bought and, for those that could not be bought, can be changed. At a time when ballots were manually counted, Garciliano, though he was no tabulating machine, meekly gave his assurance that 1 million votes would be reflected in the certificates of canvass, COC. True enough, some of the COCs, or now certificates of cheating, were later transmitted to Congress, standing as delivery receipts of the votes that were ordered. And when discrepancies were pointed out during the congressional canvass, they were ignored and buried under an avalanche of noted, noted, noted. And that was how Filipinos lost the election in 2004. The loser was proclaimed winner. Kung malaki ang tinaya, mas malaki ang kailangang ikubra. Huwag sana mabaon sa limot na ang Hello Garci scandal ay nanganak ng sandamakmak na impeachment complaints, isang bonggang fertilizer scam worth 728 million pesos, PhilHealth card scam worth 530 million pesos, and the North Rail project worth $503 million para lang may pambayad sa mga tumulong mag-deliver ng boto at maging ang lisensya para sa Maguindanao Massacre. In short, it was the people who paid for the crimes of the Hello Garci actors. Mr. President, a good 2 decades have passed since the Hello Garci was pulled off, and I'm recalling it today not as a daughter of a decent man who was robbed of votes, but as a senator of the Republic who believes it is her duty not to let this blot in our history fade from the nation's memory. In doing so, I'm just taking the cue from my father, who died heartbroken for the people who were let down by the system. But while the father may have forgiven those who did him wrong, the daughter will never forget the names nor the crimes that were committed to our people. More than the need to move on, we must move forward, because I believe it is not the passing of time that heals wounds or mends wrongs. It can only be cured if we apply remedies that will prevent it from happening again, of lessons so powerful that it deters repetition by sanctions that await those who try to commit it once. Tragedies ought to be teachable moment for us, and the Hello Garci episode should have birthed laws that would prevent it from revisiting us. But on this, I am sad to note it did not fully happen. Yes, there were laws passed, like poll computerization and minor fixes, but the biggest scourge, the buying of votes, has not been purged out of our politics. Our counting may have turned electronic, but our machines are fast aging. Aside from technological reforms, a lot more needs to be done in our electoral landscape. These include redefining what electoral crimes words like premature campaigning, vote buying, and vote selling cover. Campaigning should effectively start as candidacy is filed, and vote buying should include all possible modes like the buying of votes through e-wallets. And we saw in 2022, electronic na po ngayon, Mr. President. On this note, I will be filing a bill which shall prohibit vote buying and selling through electronic means or yung mga pagbili ng gamit ang GCash or Maya. So much must be done in so little time. We are fast approaching the midterm national elections next year, and yet the landscape has not changed much since the electoral crisis 2 decades ago. It is when we fail to act immediately that the Hello Garci crisis continues to haunt us. There were many impeachment complaints, but no one was pushed for this crime. The guilty remains in power, taking refuge in our collective amnesia to delete our memory on the wrongs they have committed. Pagala-gala pa rin si Garci, parang wala lang nangyari. Matagal kong pinag-isipan kung sasariwain ko uli itong mapait na yugto. Ngunit hindi ito isang personal na bagay lamang. Ito ay kasaysayan na dapat hindi malimutan, dapat magsilbing aral sa bago at darating pang henerasyon. History is neither political nor personal. Hindi na memersonal ang kasaysayan. Isinasaad lamang kung ano ang nangyari. Paalala ito sa atin na dapat mamili kung anong legasiya ang nais nating iwanan sa ating mga anak. Maraming dapat pasalamatan. Actually, ginawa ko to, pinag-isipan ko, ilalabas ko pa ba ito? Kasi baka sabihin naman nila, hanggang ngayon ba nagsa-sour grape? Hindi po, wala po akong puot na nararamdaman. Kaya lang lungkot lang na sana, kasi mag-e-election na naman next year, di ba? Sana naman medyo maging maayos kasi rampant na rin na naman yung vote buying eh. And if we want good people to run this country, we really have to make an effort to guard our votes and to make sure that there's a level playing field. So, Mr. President, I also want to thank you for your good example.